What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geeks and Company in another episode of your favorite geeky podcast, the Geek Boutique. How's everybody doing in this fine Thursday? My name is JS. My compadre over here, Mr. Jeff Aka Messiah Complex Cosplay.
Got it all in. Good job, buddy. I'm miserable, but hey, man, we're here to talk about last weekend. We happened to land in Anime North, which was the first time for both of us, by the way. Just so it wasn't just the first time for the geeks to go. It was the first time that either JS or I. Been years. People have been telling me I should go to Anime North and I should check it out. And to all of you, I'd like to say, y'all done lied to me. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Because I mean, the problem is, okay, I don't want to get into it right now. But the problem is, it kind of was exactly what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, no, okay, that I'll give you. Yes, exactly. My expectations, not what other people told me it was.
Yeah.
It was exactly what I thought it was going to be to a T, by the way. Yes, 100%.
Anyway, we'll talk about it later. Guys, if you're watching now, or if you're listening later on your favorite podcast platform, by the way, guys, if you do listen to us on Google Podcast is going away. There will no longer be a Google Podcast. My understanding is that all of the Google podcasts will be migrated over to YouTube Music. So you will be able to catch them on YouTube Music, but let's be honest, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on most of them. What's the Amazon one? I forget what the Amazon one is. Anyway, we're on most of them, guys. I'm sure you'll be able to find us somewhere, but I think YouTube is really the best place to come and check us out because sometimes we share pictures and you can see what's going on. So if you are listening to us on Google Podcasts, come on over to YouTube. Check out the Geeks & Co. Our podcasts are all in the live section.
Did anyone call you Grandpa? Either of you? Not that.
Well, no. But I mean, I kind of felt like that. I'm not gonna lie. And then we saw some real grandpas, and then I was like, "Ooh, like this almost feels borderline not right."
We did get to see Natasha there. She's saying, I love Anime North. That was my 4th year attending the con, but my 2nd year working with Cosplay for a Cause in their cosplay repair booth. Yeah, guys. So Cosplay for a Cure has officially changed their name to Cosplay for a Cause now. So, and our boy Andre there. We got to see Andre a couple of different days there at the con.
Yeah.
So good to see
Andre
him
was there all 3 days. I don't know that I didn't see him on Sunday, but I believe he was there on Sunday as well.
Our buddy Alex there. Great seeing you guys on the weekend.
Yeah,
it's great to see you too,
Alex.
my friend. Absolutely. Yeah, that was very cool. I got my Alex's mixed up a couple times. Yeah, I did get to see Reed. Who else did we see? I'm going to be honest with you.
We saw Miranda quickly.
We did see Miranda. Yeah, we didn't see a ton of people that we know, like a ton of what I would consider like the faithful, obviously. So we got to see Andrew as well on Saturday, I think.
Saturday.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, getting to hang out and see some of you guys was awesome. Like I said, for JS and I, it was a little bit difficult to spend time because we were tied up with a couple of different things, and we'll get into all that as well.
Interesting.
Huge shout out, by the way, to our buddy Aaron from Goes. Game On Entertainment Services.
Oh fuck! I did what? It's all your fault.
I know because I say system every time. I know. It's my fault.
I blame you 100%.
Game On Entertainment Services.
Yes.
He's the one that brought us out, put us up, fed us. You know, it basically got us to be staff for Anime North, which is hilarious because again, it was our first time going, and we both got we got staff shirts and we got access to the staff lounge and blah blah blah. So yeah. So shout out to Aaron. That was pretty great. The perks were pretty fantastic, I'm not going to lie. Not only did we get access to the staff lounge, which had pizza and sushi and snacks and drinks and pop and coffee and stuff, but we also got like $35 in vouchers for food, either in the hotel that we were staying at or on the food trucks that were out there. So huge shout out for him for setting us up for that. And then all the organizational team, especially in the game room for Anime North, for treating us well, man. Like everywhere that I went in that area, especially in the building that we were in the North building, they were great to us. Like they were really good. They were nice to us the whole time. So that was pretty cool. I did get to see a few people in there that I knew from the London crew as well. Shout out to my boy Pete, who I got to see, and he was in the food. He was in the lounge a lot. He was sushi security is what I was calling him. So making sure nobody walked out with any of the food or whatever. So. Yeah, I mean, as an overall experience, if you had to grade it, JS, on like a letter scale from like an A+ is the best experience you've ever had at a con, and F is like, get me the fuck out of here, what would be your grade for going to Anime North for the first time?
Without getting into all the specifics of the why, for me, I don't know that it can be much more than a C.
C would also be my...
Yeah, like a C at most, and not
by the way,
it's not a great con, because
I was just going to say,
it really is.
Yes,
and we're going to talk about that because I've never seen anything like that. Like I don't understand why Fan Expo doesn't do what these guys do. Anyway, again, we'll get into all that.
I would also say C, by the way, but C based on my experience with the con, not the con itself. If that makes any sense, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Because we were adamant about it. We did some lives. We talked about it there. We probably beat that horse to death. It's probably going to come up again today. But like, it's just it's not our scene. And again, I've said this before too. This goes out to everybody that's messaged me in the last 5 years to tell me that I should check out Anime North, because it's not just about anime. You all lied. Every single one of you lied to me. You've been lying to me for years. It is all about anime. Even the stuff that's anime. That's not anime is anime adjacent. So it's like all the gaming stuff was all the video game stuff it all looks like anime. They were playing mahjong, like actual mahjong tiles. And I know that's not anime, but it's still Japanese culture. So it's a lot of like, it's definitely a big, huge celebration of Japanese culture. And if you're into Japanese culture to that extent, this is your mecca. This is your Fan Expo. This is where you need to go to embrace that and be with all your like-minded people. But if you're not into that, like we were not into that, there's nothing for you there. As a patron, there's nothing for you there.
My niece, who you met at Fan Expo last year, she used to come up every year for Anime North. She's huge, obviously, into anime and anime cosplay. They would go to Otakuthon, is that what it's called, in Montreal, and Anime North. Those were the two big ones that, they get out to a bunch of them, but those are the two big ones.
So Megan's making a point. Funny, the con called Anime is all about anime. And anytime a friend of mine would say, hey, you should check out Anime North, I'd be like, but I'm not into anime. Of course, that was always my first response. And their response would always be, oh, it's not just anime. There's lots of other things there too. You'll see lots of different cosplays. It's not all about anime, blah, blah, blah. But they just flat out lied. They just flat out lied to me. That was
anime.
Super not my experience by any stretch of the imagination. Still really great that you guys tried it. One of the old timers. One of the old timers had to. And I was just saying to JS before we get into this, and we'll talk about this probably more towards the end or a little bit later on. I would go back, but only in this capacity. I like Aaron. I like working with Aaron, and I enjoyed the sort of environment where we were in with the gaming room. Even though I'm not a gamer, it was still like the vibe was still cool enough and not so heavily anime enough that I could still get something out of it, even though the gamer vibe isn't my vibe either. I would go back strictly to help Aaron. I would not go back in the capacity that we kind of thought we were going there in the first place. I wouldn't really go back trying to work the Geeks angle for this one.
Yeah.
I just go to participate.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it makes sense for us as the Geeks and go. Okay, so to be honest, a big part of me wanting to do this and going and agreeing to do this was I wanted to check it out. Right? Is this a con that makes sense for us? Is this something that we want to invest in?
Yeah, because we didn't bring anything.
No, we didn't. It was just
we literally brought us and the camera gear, and that was it.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd check it out and see what was what, right?
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know that it makes sense for us. I don't know that putting the effort and energy and having a booth at another big con like that, another big 3-day con that is so out of our wheelhouse, right? Now, flip side of that is we have a lot of friends, right? There's a lot of the faithful that are into anime, and that, we've got some of, I'll put my cosplay buddies against any cosplayers out there, right? So we've got some high end cosplayers around here, and probably do something cool. But then, what do we get out of that, right? Because the anime crowd's not going to follow us because we don't do anything anime. We don't cover anything anime. We don't. Is that something you guys would like? Should we get somebody on to maybe be more of an anime-focused participant and making videos and reviews of anime?
Yeah, Alex is saying, I loved your booth at TCC. It was a happening place. You cosplay,
100%.
yeah. And that's the key, I think. And I'll give you a really, really good example of sort of what JS is getting at and what we're talking about when it comes to talking about doing a booth there is we had our Star Wars Day at TCC on Sunday. And to say the response was huge is a massive understatement. It was really, really good for us. It was really great exposure. We got a lot of participation from even the ancillary groups that came in and helped us out with it. And it was great. Vanessa Marshall was one of the guests at Anime North because I guess she's maybe, I don't know if she's done any Anime North.
Dude,
anime.
she hadn't spotted you for 10 seconds and her hands were already all
That's
over
not
you.
where I'm going with this. What I'm going with this is, shut the fuck up. Where I'm going with this is, if you know Vanessa Marshall, her claim to fame is Star Wars. She was the voice of Hera Syndulla, I think, on Rebels.
Hera, hang on. I'll tell you right now.
Anyways, her big thing is Star Wars. That's what she's known for. And when we went over to visit her, and by we, I didn't go. My buddy Rob Bellamy went over to talk to her about maybe appearing at CK Expo. On the Sunday, went over to talk to her. There was nobody in her area, like not a single person in line to meet her. She's in with all the other guests. She has a place amongst all those on that back wall with all of them. Not a single person in her line to get her autograph, to get her picture, to talk to her, nothing. And when my buddy Rob went up and talked to her about appearing at CK Expo, her first question to him was, are there Star Wars fans there? Because there aren't any here. So when we talk about doing a booth for stuff that we're into, and it's not just Star Wars, obviously, but I don't think it would matter what it was. Everything that we're into is not what they're into. Unless we're doing animes or video games, it's...
So let me tell you a little bit about what she's into, right? So she's Hera in Star Wars Rebels. She's Wonder Woman in Harley Quinn. She's Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. She's Black Canary in Young Justice. I didn't realize she was Black Canary in Young Justice. She's like the one that trains the team. She's a big character in that show. She's Ruth Bader Ginsburg in Rick and Morty. That's hilarious. I didn't know that either. She has done video games, Mortal Kombat, Metal Gear Solids, Jedi Knight 2. She's done a little bit of actual acting. I'm sorry. That's so bad.
Live action
acting. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. But yeah, I guess her claim to fame has to be Hera. I mean, that's got to be the biggest character she's played. And yeah, why do you bring a Star Wars voice actor to Anime North? What are they going to care about that, right?
And it turns out they didn't. So Wayne Cuff's saying you can talk to Adam Corkdale, aka Corky Cosplay, to help out with the anime coordinating. Here's the other problem that I have with a lot of this is if we start in on trying to not placate, but trying to play to that crowd when we don't, not only do we not have any knowledge of it, but we're not going to. JS and I are not going to take an about face at our age and all of a sudden become huge anime or video game, current gen video game fans. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So bringing people in to quote unquote try to cover it for us, I don't feel like really I think we're doing a disservice to the community if we're doing that, because it's not us and it's never going to be us. And I worry that if we open the door, like I don't want to have to rely on Corky every time if it comes down to us having to cover something anime related, because then it's not us anymore. We're just hyping Corky show. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure his podcast is great, but it's got nothing to do with us, and we have nothing to do with him. And it's to me, the collab doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's not going to take us into a place that we're going to do well in, unless we have to keep relying on other people to prop us up there. And then what good are we in that space if we have no dog in the fight?
Yeah, because his audience isn't going to care about what we do.
No.
Right? So
no.
Yeah. Jeff, you are freezing a little bit every once in a while. You'll freeze for like 2 or 3 seconds. Guys, are you guys seeing that too, or is it just me? Or am I the one freezing? Let me know, guys, because
you've been fine on my side. So
okay, to me it looks like every, I don't know, minute or two you like freeze for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then you're back. So
maybe my back hurts. Alex, because you're not focused on the cosplay, I think there'd be enough draw just on what you've done in cosplaying. The whole time we were there, no freezing on either is what Alex was saying. We saw hundreds. We probably saw thousands of cosplays. I'm not joking. This isn't hyperbole. I recognized 4 of them.
I don't know if I even recognize that many.
And
you
2 of them,
one out,
2 of them were Batman. 2 of them were Batman, by the way. There was 2 Batmen, a Spider-Man, and a guy in a Star Trek uniform. That was it, dude. Yeah. And one of the Batman
was the Crow.
Oh yeah, sorry. So 5.
The Crow guy.
The one of the Batman was a samurai Batman, like a date. So he was even still trying to lean into the Japanese culture, right?
Yeah, he was a little bit. I guess he was trying to emulate the Batman from the anime.
Right.
You know how they did the anime Batman movie?
Yeah.
It was very akin to that. It was really good too. I liked it, but
the universe is resetting itself. Yeah. I don't know that what we would be cosplaying, Alex, would be enough of a draw because of how outside of that particular genre. Like, there's nothing that we could really do that would capture enough attention. It would have to be like super iconic. Like, the only cosplay that I even have that I think would even do mildly well at that would be Joker, because Joker's transcendent, right? Like, I've had even at TCC, anime kids and stuff and video games were still coming up to me knowing I was Joker and wanting pictures with me and such. But I mean, other than that, we don't really have a whole lot that would go over well with that crowd because they don't know what it is, right? So 4 cosplays and 3 were me, says Steve. Yeah, no, I wasn't counting you in that particular group because you were staff like us. Obviously, I recognized your cosplays, but
and obviously, when we try to go to these events, and have booths and put on a show, it's to try to build that community, right? It's to try to build the following, right? It's to try to bring more people to come and watch the podcast. It's to, you know what I mean? Like, but if we're just going there to just hang out and spend all that money and again, I don't know. I don't know.
Andrew Saxon said Just Witcher would be right at home for Anime North. If I did the video game version of Witcher, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
The show version of Witcher, I don't think would do well there.
Yeah, no, probably not.
No.
And even then, I think that if we do somehow ever end up doing something again with them, it has to be with the gaming hall. It has to be more gaming focused than anything else, because at the very least on the gaming side, we're not complete morons.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Guys, we've already been talking about this for 20 minutes when we said we were going to talk about these other things first. But
that's how we get you.
Who's excited for the Acolyte? That's coming up next week. I'm reserved. What's the term I'm looking for?
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Sure.
But it is a time period that, like I was saying earlier, that's not so far back that it's still going to feel familiar. It's still going to feel like Star Wars, right? Like the Jedi Order is still around or already around, and Yoda should be in the show technically, because at this point in time he would be like 400 or 500 years old and already a big part of the Jedi. Carrie-Anne Moss,
from the Matrix movies. Yeah.
I mean,
Canadian, by the way.
I know. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I just hope they don't fuck it up. Please don't fuck it up. Please don't fuck it up, Disney. Please don't fuck it up. But I mean, they've got a pattern of fucking shit up. So, are you guys
we
excited?
Talked about it before,
are you guys into it?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts so far?
The Acolyte is set at the end of the Star Wars franchise's High Republic, approximately 100 years before the Phantom Menace. See, I thought it was even further back than that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 300 or 400 years. That's what I understood.
So did I.
So then Yoda is definitely around.
A century before the events of the Phantom Menace. Yes, absolutely. So, in fact, he might still be like old.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he might look exactly like he already looks. Like he would have been,
because he's 900 years old, I think, in current Star Wars. That would make him like roughly 800 years old.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not. Yeah. It's
not going to be a young Yoda, right?
No. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like we talked about before with the Star Wars shows, they've been hit and miss. They come out of the gate running with The Mandalorian. Those first 2 seasons just absolutely murdered and led the way for everything that came after it. And everything that came after it was even the best of what came after it, I feel still paled in comparison to those first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. They just haven't been able to kind of recapture that or get back to that. I think there was something to like out of every single show that's come out, but there was also something to not like about every single show that's come out. So
I don't know. I really liked Obi-Wan.
I like it too, but it's not well loved in the community.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think for a lot of people, they were expecting I guess more of a character-driven deconstruction of Obi-Wan, and all you really had was an 8-episode hype fest of a showdown between him and Vader. I think that disappointed a lot of people from what you thought you were going to see, like more of a transitional time for him and such. But I mean, from what I gather, the initial run of scripts they had for Obi-Wan, they had to junk almost all of them because I guess it was almost like beat for beat, just like The Mandalorian. Like he was this wayward soul making his way through the galaxy, solving, crimes and mysteries or whatever. Like he was just being like a Jedi in the shadows type of thing. And they were like, yeah, shit, we're already doing this with The Mandalorian. We can't do this. We got to think of something else. I don't know. I've loved every single show. Every show has been entertaining. I will admit to you that every show has had entertaining pieces to it, yes. But there's definitely been, like Book of Boba Fett's pretty famous for, kind of stumbling. And I think Book of Boba Fett has one sin in it that I think transcends all of them. Is you get the end of season 2 of Mandalorian and Grogu goes off with Luke. And then the beginning of season 3 of The Mandalorian, Grogu is somehow back with Mando. You only know that if you watched Boba Fett. They actually reunite Mando and Grogu on the Boba Fett show. And you're like, what the fuck are you guys? Why would you do that?
Dude, they reunite them in the first episode, bud. Like, what was even the point?
No. It's when Mando it's that 2-part of like episode 6 and 7 of the Book of Boba Fett, right? Like episode 6 is just Mandalorian. Boba's not even in that. And then episode 7 is the Luke episode.
Okay.
And then in the finale it's episode 8 where the two of them finally get back together again.
I still think it was silly to me to even it cheapened Luke showing up and
100% it did.
Away.
If you're just gonna hand him back, and if he does go back, you have to have that as an arc that happens on that show. Not on a completely different show. That's crazy to me that they did that. I don't get that at all.
Either way, I mean, I guess every show had its ups and downs, some more than others.
Nita, how are you and I such close friends, and yet you continuously pick the worst shows in a franchise, Deep Space Nine, and now Andor, apparently, and I pick the best shows, which is not Andor, by the way, and it's clearly, I mean, it's obviously next gen for Star Trek, but. What are we doing? The best so far? Andor? Oh, what a snooze fest that show was. What a terrible show
I didn't
that show
hate
was.
As much as you did. Again, I just found that the setup that they tried to do was kind of dumb, and then spending like half of the season in prison was like, okay, like can we just like move the show along now?
4 episodes in prison. 4 episodes in prison. That arc. Oh my fucking god. Hey, leave Nada alone, says Andre. And Bor. Yeah, you got it. Picking fights with Nada. Yeah, Nada and I are going to fight. I think that's going to have to happen. As soon as she's fully healed up, we're going to have to... Real writing, real dialogue, real characters. Yeah, real fucking cringy characters. That fucking... What was his name? What was the security dude that got fired or whatever? What was the guy that ended up stalking... Cyril or Cirrus or whatever the hell his name was.
Something like that.
That might be the most cringe arc I've seen on television in a major show in a long time, man. Holy fucking shit.
Like full out stalker.
Stalks her and then gets rewarded at the end for stalking her. Are you fucking
I found that a little odd. Wait a second. So
terrible.
What? Yeah.
No, awful. It's just so bad. It ruined. And then I didn't even like Andor's arc either. Stellan Luthen and Mon Mothma. I'll watch that shit all day. That's the show. I don't know why there's anything else. And then you have Dedra Meero as the ISB officer that's chasing them down. Luthen is the guy out in the field trying to rally the troops, and she's the money back on Coruscant and trying to figure it out politically. That's your show. I don't know why we have Andor, and I sure as shit don't know why we have that cringy fucking stalker dude on it. Like, oh.
Yeah, that
terrible.
show should
Guys,
be
I know Nate is going to
Star
kick my ass.
Wars
I get that
Rebellion.
Nate is going to kick my ass. What you don't seem to understand is I'm going to enjoy every single second of it. So,
yeah, that show shouldn't have been called Andor, right? Cassian Andor should have been.
yeah, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
Well, the
he
show
should
should have
have
been called
been-
Urso. Is what it should have been about. Jyn Urso is what it should have been about. But maybe they just couldn't get
Well,
her.
Yeah.
And they decided that they were going to go with Andor instead. Andrew saying Disney and toy execs forced Grogu back with Mando because they feared loss of sales, abandoning him with Luke. Then why have Luke come get him? Why have him leave? Why not just do that right on that show? Like Luke shows up and he says, "Come with me," and he looks back at Mando and he stays with Mando. Why not just have it like that? Why have this whole fucking rigmarole? She will too. Yeah, she will too. Yeah. I'm sure she'll enjoy kicking my ass. Everybody, thanks guys for the support. Absolutely.
I think that bringing Luke in was obviously fan service. Grogu leaving at the end was maybe their way of trying to explain how when he comes back, now he's got a little bit more control of his Force powers. Right now, he can actually use the Force without passing out. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's had a little bit of training from Luke. We don't know technically how long he was there, right? We don't know how long between season 2 of Mando and season 1 of Book of Boba Fett. Did they actually ever say?
I thought they did, and I thought it ended up being a ridiculous amount of time. I think someone posted it was like 2 years or 3 years or something utterly ludicrous.
Well, there you go.
But
so
regardless, I mean, it was still a really weird choice for them to make. So when it comes to the Acolyte, I have a feeling it's going to be similar in that there's probably going to be aspects of it I really, really dig, and there's probably going to be some aspects of it that I really fucking hate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to depend on how much focus and time is spent on those aspects I don't like, and that will determine whether or not I dig the show. Because I'm like you, I dug Obi-Wan because enough of what they did I really dug. His interactions with Leia are fantastic. Most of the story is good. The parts that I like the least is actually most of his interactions with Vader, because it just felt shoehorned in. Like, well, if we're gonna have them, we gotta have them fight. And I was like, do we really? Like another fucking fight between two guys? Like, it just seemed, I don't know. Anyways, regardless,
I understand.
They've all had stuff. Same with Ahsoka. There's parts of
saying.
Ahsoka I absolutely loved. There's parts of Ahsoka I did not enjoy at all. So
yeah, fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough. Although
I guess
for
a
me,
lot of
Ahsoka was probably so far the only one that comes close to season 1 or 2 of Mando. For me, anyway.
That much, eh? You liked it that much, eh?
But again, that's because I have the background, right? I watched the Clone Wars and I watched Rebels, so I'm already invested in this character. She's already like one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars.
I keep forgetting that
right?
You already have watched all the anime stuff, so you're already in there, right?
I'm already invested in her character, right? And that storyline that's being developed, right? So for me, the storyline was I didn't like how it ended. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it ended a little weird, and they found, you know what? Listen, I don't want to turn this into an Ahsoka talk, or you shouldn't even be a Star Wars talk in general. But you're right. I'm looking forward to the Acolyte. Same. We're probably going to be some stuff we like, some stuff we don't like. I'm curious. It's coming out next week on the 7th, I think.
Let's find out, shall we?
I believe it's coming out next week. Let us know what your thoughts are, guys. Are you excited in the show? Are you really looking forward to this? Is this something that you're into? Already there's a ton of new costumes, ton of new costume designs that I'm liking. So
June 4th. June 4th.
Okay.
Its first 2 episodes will drop. The other 6 episodes will be released weekly on
Tuesday.
Disney Plus.
Excellent.
Yep. And then I think House of the Dragon comes out in June as well, if I'm not mistaken.
The Acolytes. Jeff's fan club name. All right, Acolytes. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Geek Boutique podcast.
Perfect.
How you doing?
Perfect. The Acolytes. Meg Han. Well done. John's right there with you. Clone Wars series is the only good Star Wars, in my opinion, after Mando. I've tried, man. I've tried so many times. I couldn't. I just can't do it.
I think the problem of the Clone Wars is it's too long. It's too much, especially the first few seasons are very long, and the first few seasons aren't the best. You really need to get through the first 2 seasons for it to really hit its stride, and then once it hits its stride, it's fucking amazing. The voice actors make you forget that they're voice actors. They feel like the characters.
The problem is the animation style is such that it never doesn't seem like characters to me. The animation style rips me out of it. The immersiveness of it every single time.
Oh, I see, and I love
time.
their animation style. That's what got me into the show.
That's funny because that's what keeps me from going back to it.
Oh,
I hate it so much. Yeah,
interesting.
I see clips of it and I don't like it. Like people are talking about the Bad Batch, and I keep seeing clips of that, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys relate to this stuff. The animation looks so terrible, and it's looked like this since the jump. I don't. Anyways,
I'll
my
admit,
issues, guys. Not
I've
everybody
had a hard
else's my
time
issues.
keeping up with the Bad Batch. I haven't seen the last season.
Well, I think it's done now, isn't it?
It is. I gotta go back and watch it at some point. It's not as good. It's not as good. It's people love it, but it's not as good. The Bad Batch doesn't have the following that the Clone Wars had. It's just.
I think that starting with a group of knowns will be what makes the show. Is saying our buddy Bob for the Acolyte. They went back. They went to this time frame for a reason, right? Like, it does kind of like it's funny how in the Star Wars universe how quickly things can like all of a sudden, like the whole galaxy just forgets shit so fast. Like, are you really telling me the High Republic time was only 100 years before? 100 years before the Phantom Menace, but then by like A New Hope, most of the galaxy has forgotten that Jedi even fucking existed at one point. It's so weird how quickly things just fall off a cliff when it comes to like general knowledge of things in the Star Wars universe, right?
The one thing that I was telling you earlier, and this is one of the problems that a lot of people have with even the premise of the show, is that there's specifically a line in, I believe, Phantom Menace, about the Sith, and they're like, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia, or whatever the line goes, right? Like, even the Jedi Council believe that the Sith have no longer not been there around for who knows how long,
right?
But 100 years before, there's a Sith going around killing Jedi, and the Jedi Council just forgot about that. Well, Yoda, who's still alive, just forgot about that.
Is that gonna? So my question to you for the Acolyte is: now that we know it's only 100 years before, are we going to see Plagueis?
We could.
He's the only Darth that I can think of that might have a chance of being around during that time frame.
I think that's the idea. I think that's the play.
Right. I would assume so, right?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that's kind of the play, right? The
Darth Plagueis would make sense, right? Time frame wise.
And time frame wise is what exactly would make sense, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. See that happen here, though, as well. We lost the ability to make glass for a period of time because it was forgotten in real life. Yeah. I mean, I get, but we're still talking about a galaxy that has like faster than light travel and colonized planets and ships that can destroy planets. And so like it's clearly like, and I know they make it look really gritty and dirty, and they're careful not to use like AI or over reliance on computers, but a really good example of what I'm talking about is when in the Mandalorian show, when Cobb Vanth is telling Mando about like his story, he ends up relating. He sees the Death Star blown up like on a holo, like on the news kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So like clearly there's a dissemination of information that's happening within that galaxy. And if there's Jedi as late as Revenge of the Sith, and then by A New Hope, which happens 25 years later or something like that, suddenly no one knows what a Jedi is. To me, that's really hard to buy. Like, that's a really weird. Now, again, I know they came out like after, so it's hard to like do reverse fucking. You know what I mean? Like that. I know that makes it difficult. Like, he made the Jedi seem very, very rare in the original trilogy, and then he went back and did the prequels and kind of like tossed all that out the window. But it's still, continuity wise, it's still difficult to kind of make sense in my mind that all of a sudden the whole galaxy just forgot that essentially the peacekeepers, the amongst the ruling elite of the galaxy, were around 30 years ago, and now suddenly nobody has any clue what they are. So yeah, I bet their propaganda is also very advanced in memory hole things. Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, that's got to be a big part of it. And I mean, they don't call it the Empire for any reason, right? Like, the propaganda machine, well, they've shown that a little bit in Andor, right? The propaganda machine is strong with the Empire, right? So for sure, that plays a big part of it. I think they purposely tried to erase all trace
of the
rebellion and the Jedi and everything, right?
Yeah. No, that's dedication. Yeah, it would be cool. Like someone else said, yeah, if it's okay, if it's Darth Plagueis the Wise, I'm in. I mean, I'm just trying to like put some pieces together, right?
Oh, but I think that's the idea.
I haven't seen anything to indicate that. I was just doing math in my head. I'm like, well, Palps is already kind of like he's an older dude by the time we get to Phantom Menace. Right
now, I don't
and
think
he apprenticed to Plagueis, and Plagueis had ways of extending life and such. So I'm kind of wondering if that would play in timeline wise.
Yeah, I think so. And to be fair, I don't think that the main character or the acolyte is not going to be Plagueis. We already know the name of the character.
So. No, because I'm sure there's somebody going to be like machinations and behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and not to spoil anything, guys, but the one actress is playing two roles. Just so you know.
There you go.
So she's playing both a Jedi and she's the one that is being portrayed as the Sith. But they leaked that she's actually also a Jedi. So she's playing two characters. So we already know she's the main focus of this show.
Right. Yeah, Nina brings up a good point.
Either her apprentice or her teacher or whatever, right?
But Nada is saying, have you ever tried to explain a rotary phone to a teen kid? History is erased in decades, not millennia. See, you're right. But no, it's what you're talking about though is a segment of the population doesn't know what rotary phones are. There's an entire other huge portion of the segment that knows exactly what a rotary phone is. A lot of people in this channel know exactly what a rotary phone is. You're saying it because you know what it is. Everybody your age and from your generation knows exactly what it is. So it's not that it still doesn't turn over that quickly. We'd have to get to a point where nobody that's alive knew what it was. And we're not there yet. We're not even close. We're probably another 50 years before we're going to get to that stage. So this is what I'm saying. Like for 30 years, for all of a sudden nobody knows who the Jedi are, redonkulous. Everybody that was old enough to remember being in the galaxy at that time, I thought she was just turning. Maybe she is.
And maybe she is. We don't really know. All we know is that there are two different character names, but you're right. Like Anakin, who became Darth Vader, it could be the same character and she changes her name. We don't know.
Answer me this. Maybe I'm not deep enough in the lore, but there's clearly a difference between, like, just because you go to the dark side doesn't make you a Sith.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's almost like shit. You're saying she's just turning, but there would have to be a Sith to guide her for her to become a Sith.
Correct.
Right? Otherwise, she's just a dark Jedi.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
No, she could be she'd be a dark user, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
There are plenty of dark side users that are not Sith, right?
Well, Baylan Skull on Ahsoka, right?
But
Baylan started out as a Jedi. I would only say dark Jedi because these people started out as Jedis and then turned.
Well, yes.
That's all I'm saying, right?
Well, yes, for sure. All of them.
Yeah.
From my understanding, all of them is how it happens, right? They're Jedi and then they're turned. And that's how all the Inquisitors, they were all ex-Jedi that turned Sith. Even Reva was a youngling, right? Training as a Jedi before she became an Inquisitor.
Yeah, but I get the sense, like, if you look at something like Maul didn't turn.
Maul was a
Sith from the jump,
right? He was trained from the jump.
Yeah. So clearly there are people that are born to it, or that naturally go towards the dark side first before becoming a Jedi and going through all that before they turn.
The Sith first.
Right. Yeah. So I just want to make sure I was clear on that. I couldn't remember. I'm like, are there just dark side users as opposed to like all of them having to be Siths? But I guess to make it easier for the audience, you got to have some level of. You know what I mean?
That's the drama, right? Her turning. That's why it's called the acolyte. I'm assuming, right? Is either her turning or the rumor is that there is actually twins, right? They're playing on the twin thing, right? And they're going to face off at one point, and it's going to be the light versus the dark. And
well, this is what I'm saying when it comes to, I don't know if it would be Plagueis or not, but the fact that if that character is the acolyte is typically is a follower. It's not the leader.
Follower, correct.
That's a follower. So there's clearly somebody else. Correct. There, that's going to be guiding her towards whatever this. Yeah.
Which you're right. I think the assumption is that character, time frame wise, would work as Plagueis. Yes.
Would work as Plagueis. Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I would like to hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. I would like to hear that at least one more time. That would be great.
We've talked about Star Wars for too long now. We're losing viewers by the second. You had a little bit of DC snippets. What are they calling their new cinematic universe?
The DCU.
It's the DCU.
Yep, they dropped the E.
They dropped the E.
Yes.
Okay.
Because now it's all connected, right? So
now
it's the
all
DCU.
connected.
And then the stuff that's not is Elseworlds, obviously, but
right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some is it some X happenings, some Twitter happenings of some sort, or
there was something on Instagram.
Happenings?
Someone commented on James Gunn's Instagram, like on a thread on James Gunn's Instagram, and said, if you have plans to utilize Deathstroke in the new DCU, wink. And James Gunn responded with a winking emoji. So Deathstroke is one of those characters that I don't want to say DC has squandered him, but there's been so many opportunities to bring this character into live action, and they've kind of dropped the ball on it almost every time. He's had a couple of glorified cameos, and that's it. And the character itself,
he was a main part of Titan. He was the villain in Titan season 1. He came back, if I remember correctly, for some of Titan season 2. He was a big part of the Arrow. Like the Arrowverse?
Season 2, yes.
First few seasons, like 2, 3, 4, like all the island stuff with Deathstroke. Like he was a major part. I liked him, actually. I liked him a lot.
I liked him. I haven't found that the TV series have really done him justice as to how rich and complex and total badass that character is. I would like to see him in a major motion picture. I'm hoping his plans are not just to shove him into another TV series, but... there was one. We'll get back to Deathstroke real quick. There was one other piece of news coming out of the DCU is they finally have the writers in place and showrunners for Lanterns.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that piece of news just came out. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to Lanterns. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, basically as Earth cops, essentially. Well, I know they're on Earth. They said it's a very yeah, of course that's not what come up. Fuck you. Lanterns, terrible, I know. DC show.
So this is like supposed to be like a Lantern Corps show more than about a specific.
Well, it's called
Green
Lanterns for a reason.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to see not just Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. We're probably going to see Guy Gardner. We're probably going to see what's her name? Like a lot of the Earth Lanterns we're probably going to see in this, and probably other ones as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I would assume so.
I hope they do this justice because they did I forget what it was called. I think it might have been just called Green Lantern animated TV show a few years ago, and it was fantastic. It was basically Hal and Kilowog. Flying through space, Kilowog, flying through space, and I hope they do this right.
We'll start with Lanterns. According to the page's moderators, Ozark showrunner Chris Munday, who is also a writer and producer for Criminal Minds, has been tapped as the Green Lantern TV show's showrunner. And now they're looking to have Hal play older than John. They were going to have them sort of be the same age, but now they're going to have Hal as the older, more...
Which is odd, because they are technically, I think, roughly the same age, aren't they?
Right. No, that's a good question. I don't know, because Hal does have the gray, right? And I don't know... Yeah, that's a good question.
Enough. Fair enough. I don't think there's a massive difference in age between the two.
Right. So now, so Chris Munday is going to be the guy sort of running it. He's also going to be helping out in the writer's room with Damon Lindelof and Tom King. And Tom King is a comic book writer. So it looks like they're trying to find, people that are going to be into... Lindelof was responsible for Lost, which I know people a lot give him grief for, but he's also responsible for the Watchmen series on HBO that everybody fucking loved, that unfortunately only got one season. Mostly because Lindelof moved on to other projects and they didn't want to do it without him. So he's at least got some superhero pedigree and such. I mean, to me, I don't know why they're keeping it land-based. They've said it's going to be a very Earth-based show.
Yeah, that I'm a little bit surprised.
So not really clear on why that would be, but unless they're trying to put it out to have it almost be a tester. I guess it's supposed to be a lot like True Detective. like that vibe. They're solving a mystery, and I guess whatever mystery that they're trying to solve is supposed to be directly tied into whatever the greater arc of the first season, quote unquote, the first batch of stuff coming out for DCU is. It's supposed to lead into that. So I don't know what it is that they're going to find on this Lantern show, but I guess it's supposed to be like a reveal that will shake up the tapestry of the rest of the DCU moving forward. So
oh really? Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
because it is all going to be attached to even the animated stuff, right?
Yes.
So even the Suicide Squad or whatnot.
But this one, I guess, is supposed to be like impactful. Like they're supposed to find something that's going to lead to whatever the big bad or whatever the big thing is for that particular for this particular thing. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. I don't know if you probably can't see it. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. I have like literally like GL tattooed on my arm. Like I'm a massive Green Lantern fan. So I'm looking forward to this finally getting a Green Lantern TV show. We'll see. Like could be good, could be tragic.
Yeah.
Do we go Blackest Night this early? No,
you can't do that.
That's kind of where they kept fucking up before.
Yeah, you can't do those big storylines as an introduction, right? Because then you handcuff yourself in your storytelling.
Well, not only that, but to bring a lot like the theme of Blackest Night was bringing these dead characters back to life in this malevolent way.
That's what I'm saying, right?
You haven't introduced any of these characters yet. You have to take the time. Like, could you imagine them doing like a Blackest Night level storyline in Marvel right now? That would actually work out really, really well because you've watched some of these characters die. You've come to love them, like watching like Robert Iron Man come back with a Black Lantern. Like that would actually be really, really cool. And I know they're going to do Marvel Zombies as an animated. I know it's going to be R-rated, and I don't know how that's going to look or whatever. But it's obviously not going to be in the current continuity, clearly. But yeah, I think you need to kind of like what Andre is saying. Keep it immersed to save money, I guess, probably, but establish a baseline. Let's figure out who these guys are first. Because these guys are going to anchor your show, these two characters. The best way to do that is to have them on Earth trying to work together and solve a mystery. And then once you've done all that character building, you bring them out to Oa, you introduce the greater tapestry, the cosmic aspect of it. Yeah, Blackest Night needs to build up. I agree. I think it's going to be important, though, initially that you do recognize that they're part of a greater core. Like there's a Green Lantern core. There's Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Universe that they're answerable to. There's Oa. There's thousands of other Green Lanterns in hundreds of different sectors across the galaxy. Like I think all of that is you have to try to bake that in somehow, even though this is going to be a very terrestrial-based show.
Michael says here, it'd be ballsy. Welcome to the new DCU. Bang, dead. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a mistake, personally. I know us as geeks and nerds, we always say, "Oh, we don't need an origin story for these characters. We all know the origin story." The problem you have to keep in mind, they don't make those movies for us, right? They sure yes, don't. We're the built-in audience, right? They know we're gonna pay to go see these movies.
100%.
What they want is they want the normies to come out and watch these movies, and they're not gonna get the normies interested in these characters if you start with a storyline where half of them are dead. Right?
And come back as evil, evil constructs. Or whatever. That's not.
Why are they going to care about that? You know what I mean? So
they're not.
Yeah,
that's why killing Superman in BVS was a gigantic mistake.
Made no sense. Yeah,
because you'd only had one movie, and then now that movie to even get to know the character, and then he had to share the highlight in that second film. And the first film's an origin story, so it was weird choices were made, and I don't want to see them make that weird choice again. Walk before you run, says Andrew. Yeah, I agree, man. You got to get the normies bucks, or it sinks. Yeah, don't get me started on BVS. I actually enjoy BVS, but I'm a huge DC nerd, so I can pull enough out of that film to really enjoy it for what it is. But thematically, they made some gigantic mistakes, storytelling wise, in that film.
They should have stuck closer to the Dark Knight. They had a lot of elements of the Dark Knight. They had a lot of elements of the Dark Knight Part 2.
The Dark Knight Returns? Is that what you're talking about?
Dark Knight Returns, sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of elements of the Dark Knight Returns, specifically the armor scene and the spear. And, they should have just kept it closer to that in terms of a storyline, right? You want us to believe that Batman is old and beaten up? Then, make him old and beaten up, and he's coming out of retirement to face off against the Joker gang. It doesn't have to be the Joker gang, but
Alex, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the animated Dark Knight film with Peter Weller as the voice was outstanding.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So good. And they broke it up into 2 parts so they could get all of it in there. Yeah, they did a really good job. Normie Bucks, yeah, we'll call them Normie Bucks too. I think that's a pretty good phrase.
And the suit, they even based the Batfleck suit off of that suit, right?
Yeah.
So that was clearly the inspiration, but yeah, they made some mistakes, and it is what it is. Now it's
they
all
paid
over
for
with.
it. Yeah. Now we're moving on to something new.
Now we're moving on.
Speaking of moving on, I do want to, now that Andrew here is in the channel, I know he's been in the channel for most of the time anyway, but I want to make mention of a post Andrew made today that I think we've all shared. We are, how many days out from NFCC? Like 8 days, I think, out from Niagara Falls Comic Con. Maybe. It's not this weekend, but next weekend.
Fair enough. We'll be there on Friday, so yeah, so a week tomorrow.
Niagara Falls Comic Con launches June 7th to 9th. So I will be there all weekend. So if you see me on the Friday or the Sunday, please come on up and say hi and grab a picture or whatever. But Saturday, the Geeks will descend, at least myself, JS. I don't know. Are you bringing, and Jen's coming with you too, right? And our good friend Andrew Saxon is putting together a little bit of an event, a relay, if you will, because sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb. He's got a great big huge paper mache bomb. We're going to set up a relay race. We're going to see who can get rid of this bomb the quickest. And he's even got a little Batman themed trophy for the winner. It's meant to be a hoot. We're meant to have fun. We're all dressing up in our own DC stuff.
We have a photographer showing up.
He's going to be Mr. Freeze. So we're all just there to have a good time. I think I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it's no secret. Niagara Falls has never been, we've had our own issues with Niagara Falls, and they've never really been that great towards the cosplay community. They're finally doing cosplay contests again this year. That Cosplay for a Cause are actually going to be running. They're doing one Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to plan the event so that we're not running into that. But yeah, beans have been spilled. We're going to try to have a little fun thing, a little thing that the Geeks, along with Andrew, are going to organize to.
So guys, first thing, this is weather permitting, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
If it's raining outside, we're not going to be hanging outside in our cosplays in the rain, right? So that's the first thing. So weather permitting, it will be in the. So there's a patch of grass basically that lays between the road and the parking lot. I think on the. Did he say on the southeast side? Listen, I don't know what side it is, but if you look at the map, if you look at our posts, you're going to see a picture of where we're going to try to set this up. There's a nice big patch of grass there. Come and have some fun. Come and run the race. We're gonna have a photographer there. I think that people are going to be sacrificing a lot of their time to get some silly shots with the bomb, because I know I am.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the whole point of this damn thing is, and even if you're not dressed in DC, guys, it's not. Yeah, this is a Batman themed thing, but it doesn't matter what you're dressed as, and whether you're a villain, a superhero, or anime, or anything.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be DC, guys. That's
doesn't
not
matter.
That's not what we're saying to you. If you show up and you want to come out and have fun,
come run the bomb race. Yeah. Southwest, of the building.
Parking lot walkway. Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah. So we're gonna be set up there. It should be a hoot. I'm sure we'll be half the bag already by the time
I'm going to be. If we're not doing this till 3 o'clock, I'm going to be wasted by 3 o'clock, sir. It's the whole venue is licensed. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The whole reason I go to to Niagara Falls Comic Con is to just drink and cosplay all weekend long, because the whole venue is completely. You can go anywhere with a drink in the venue, and they sell drinks in the venue. So yeah, dude, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I'm still gonna be wasted from the night before. Like, there's no chance I'm not gonna be drunk. So I'm gonna have a megaphone. So I'm just saying,
Jeff.
But I will be all jokered up. Jeff as Joker, drunk with a megaphone. You all asked for this. No, you didn't, but you're getting it anyway, because that's how we do.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Andrew's saying cosplayer or non-cosplayer, everybody's welcome. It doesn't matter. Yeah, even if you're not in cosplay, come around the bum run. The bomb relay run.
If you're running for the heroes, boo, or you're running for the villains,
boo.
Yay.
Villains is where it's
Sad to
at.
be missing it. Yes, we're gonna miss you guys for sure. I don't know who. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting drunk by myself. Actually, I think Doug is going, and I'll get drunk with Doug on Friday and on Sunday. But I'm sure I'll get some drinks with this guy on Saturday. So
there you go. Yeah,
drunk with a megaphone, love it. Yeah.
Oh,
We can probably wrap this guy up there, JS. Put a bow
well, we never really got into any of the details of Anime North. You want to get back to that a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, we never really talked at core of why we thought what we thought. I think it goes without saying that we kind of understood going in there that this was going to be an anime focused con, even though everybody always says, "Oh, it's not just anime." I mean, it really is. So we knew that going in. We still wanted to go check it out. Like Jeff was saying, Aaron was our ticket in. We really helped him out at the VR booth specifically.
Yes.
Most of the weekend.
Yep.
If you guys didn't get to come and check out the gaming hall, it was pretty dope.
And huge.
Actually, Aaron said a couple times, like, he really underestimated the size of the space. He could have had double the amount of stuff in there. He does have apparently a bunch of new sponsors lined up for next year's that we're not going to talk about, but
no, but this year he had AMD come out.
We had AMD, who were nice enough to hang out with us for a little bit.
Give us some swag. That was nice.
They provided all the computers. All of the computers in the gaming hall were all provided by AMD. They were all sick as hell with all the LED lights and the cool graphics cards and all that stuff. That was really cool. MSI provided all the monitors.
Very cool. Like
very
nice
cool
curved gaming monitors. Yeah.
Really nice gaming monitors. That was really, really cool. AMD also provided us in our VR section, because we were strictly working the VR section, their new... Oh, I've already forgotten what it's called now.
Vive.
Their new Vive headset. Somebody said it's a second generation, I guess, of the Vive.
Because the first has already been discontinued, so my guess is that was the second gen for it.
So we got to play with that. We got to play with the PS5 VR and the PS4 VR, which I'll say it right now, by far the best one of them all is the PS5 VR.
Yes, I hate to admit it,
the only one we had no issues with at all over the weekend. Every other one there was an issue of one kind or another. And the controllers, the PS5 VR controllers, were by far the best as well.
Agreed.
So we were there all weekend.
Yep. I was really there all weekend.
Yeah, you were really, because I dipped at I don't know, what was it, 1 or 2?
12:30, 1 o'clock maybe on the Sunday.
Yeah, that was it. I was out.
Yep.
Give us some of your goods and bads, the things that you expected, the things that maybe were so on point that maybe you should, what was your... By the way, Tim's asking, is Rob coming too? Yeah, Rob. In Niagara? No, Rob's not coming to Niagara, fortunately. No.
The overall... So the venue is gigantic. Like, we cannot...
It's more than double the size of the MTCC.
This is probably where Fan Expo should be being held. The venue is massive. There's a south building that's where most of the main con was. It's huge. And there's a whole other building in the north building that's where we were. And even that was huge, and we weren't even using all of it. There was sections that they could basically section it off to have it designed any way they want. And what they do here that I feel like they don't do at Fan Expo and TCC. And by the way, this isn't just hey, by the way, we're going to shit on Fan Expo and TCC and not do it here. But
no.
But they made sure this is the vendor hall. All the vendors are in this one giant hall. And there's a sign right across the top that says vendor hall. And that's where you're going to buy and shop things. And they have a whole other section. You walk through to a completely different section, and there's all of your art. All of your artist vendors, artist alley. It's all in there. And then the north building, all your gaming and all of your cosplay stuff is all in there. So the fact that it was so segregated, because if you're really only going there specifically for that thing, especially if you're going there for the gaming aspect of it, you don't have to interact with the rest of the con. You can just be in that north building and you can just game your ass off the whole weekend long, whether you're there in the pit with all the fighting games, or you're there to play Mahjong, or you're there to play Battletech dice-based games, or you're there to play role-play games, or you're there to play the tabletop TCG games, whatever it is. You can spend the entire time in there. And it feels like, I know Fan Expo has them kind of off in rooms in somewhere. And I've been to other cons where are you talking Anime North? Yeah, Tim. I like the fact that you can kind of pick and choose your battles, right? Like if you have no desire to buy anime-based art, you don't have to go into that whole section of the building, and it's clearly marked.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there if you don't want to be there.
That was really good that way because,
yes.
like you say, it also made for halls that were big enough that you're never in a crammed hall.
No.
Right? The busiest hall, obviously, is the vendor hall.
Right.
And our artist alley. Vendor hall, artist alley are very, very busy. The community hall there wasn't a whole lot in there, to be honest.
No.
And then the gaming hall, which had a bunch of stuff, never felt cramped.
It never filled up. Even at the height of it on Saturday, it never felt. Some of that. So those I would say are definitely the pros. At the venue in particular, and then how they set up the venue in particular, definitely all pros. Some of the cons are going into the vendor area is exactly like going into the vendor area at any of these other places. We saw 6 or 7 weapons booths, like literally just the exact same shit. Only in this case, instead of being on 2 sides of the con, they're all just within almost sight of each other. There were so many booths that were just the exact same booth. Ad nauseum over and over and over again in the vendor space. You're like, why? What's the point? You basically have 10 booths and you've just cut and pasted those 10 booths throughout the whole vendor space. Dumb. I don't even get what the appeal is. Like, why would I buy it at this booth or that booth or this booth, especially if it's all the same product for all the same price? What are you fucking doing? The artist alley
inflated con prices.
To me was overwhelming. The artist alley, I think we tried to we were kind of on the periphery of it, and I don't know if we ever really went in there. So I was like, I don't know.
We didn't really. We kind of skipped artist alley. It was pretty packed, and
then the biggest concept about it that I don't care for, and I'm going to get fucking roasted for this, is that so much of the con takes place outside. So much of the con, you have this giant, brilliant venue that they've taken all this time to put together. You have this event that people are buying tickets for, that vendors are buying tables for, that guests are being flown in for. There's all this money being spent to make this event happen. And then it seems like over half the people never set foot in the event. They spend the entire time outside. They don't buy a ticket. So they're not really, and I'm not meaning to sound like an asshole about this, but at the end of the day, even if they're hitting the food truck, they're not really supporting the event at that point. And I know a lot of them probably feel like just by showing up, they're supporting the event because it does make the event a bigger event. But the fact that you're not buying anything from the vendors, the fact that you're not buying any of the art, the fact that you're not even buying a ticket to the event, a lot of people don't buy tickets. Yeah, I've talked about this in the past with the LobbyCon kids, that Fan Expo and TCC, that part they've actually gotten right because they've eliminated a lot of that. There are still some kids on the lawn for those 2 events, but they used to come into the building, especially for Toronto Comic Con, because you used to be able to get into the building on the main floor. You would only need your pass to get down the escalators in the south. So they used to mill about, even on that 600 level. They would be on that 600 level with all the mosaic and just taking up space, not having bought a ticket. So that aspect of it for me, and the fact that Anime North is kind of like embraced it almost, like they're servicing it to a point. I don't know if they're hoping those people will eventually come in and buy tickets, but there's a part of that really, really rubs me the wrong way. And that's somebody, by the way, that, I mean, I bought things when I was there. I bought some shirts. I bought some gifts for my kid. I did all that. So I spent some money, but I also got a free pass in a hotel and I got free food. It's not like I was working too. So it's not like I wasn't contributing.
Yeah, you weren't there to support the con. You were there to work.
I was there to work. So it always makes me a little bit mad that people essentially will like sponge off of an event. Like the only reason this event exists is because other people bought tickets. So you're just going to come and like basically like just enjoy all the perks of it without having to contribute to it. And I know people's argument's going to be, well, us all being out there and being in costume is clearly our contribution. I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, you being in costume doesn't put money in people's pockets to allow the event to continue, to have, vendors set up and have guests there and have booths there and everything else. Like the con's if there's no con, you don't have a spot to hang out outside at. But if everybody hangs out outside, then there's no con. So like, and it seems like, I don't know, this is the first one I've been to. Has it always been this this level of balance where there's almost as many people outside as there are, or is it moving? I'm willing to bet you it's moving to more towards an outside con, because like you said, the best cosplays we saw were outside.
They were all outside.
And then they had they had the food truck set up. Then they had stages set up for raves, and they were always having demonstrations out there too, dance numbers or an
acrobatic thing at one point.
Very scantily clad girls in a group, all like being mobbed for pictures and stuff like shit that you're expecting to kind of see that you would see inside of a con is all happening outside. And like I said, the vast majority of those people are just not. Anime North has been being a parking lot con since I've been going. Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest aspect, because it also made, by the way, getting in and out of places that are around the con fucking
nightmare. So the first night we were there, we literally worked the booth till 11. So we didn't get out of there till 11. Well, I mean, we waited a half an hour in the parking lot until we decided, fuck it, we're just going to walk, because we couldn't get out of the parking lot. We were just stopped there. Yeah. We couldn't go anywhere. Like, it was just insane. The traffic getting out of there was mental. Yep. That, and apparently coming in is the same problem, right? People coming in are having problems with the traffic, and it's just a mess. That as cool as that venue is, and as big as that venue is, the vehicle access to the venue makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Andre makes a good point. It is a young crowd in general. There's no question that it is a lot of high school kids wearing basically like Halloween costumes, because that's what they can afford. Because I'm sure you remember being in high school. I don't know about you, but I had no money ever. Even if I was working, I had no money. So that was the other thing for me anyways. For me, it's got nothing to do with the con, nothing to do with the crowd, nothing to do with the vibe. But for me, as a 50-year-old man, I felt out of place everywhere the whole time. Because, I mean, Fan Expo TCC is a younger crowd as well, but there's enough of an age range that you don't feel like such a... But there wasn't... we saw a couple of older people, and we were like, wonder what they're doing here. But other than that, it was a very young crowd. And
extremely.
We just didn't fit. You know what I mean?
And let's admit it, right? Like, our people aren't there. The people that we hang out with, that we cosplay with, the people that we're used to going to con with aren't at this con, right? No. So,
do outside tables pay? I don't think so, Tim. No,
I don't have outside tables.
No, there's no outside tables. They have food trucks, and they didn't have vendors per se. Because what would you like? No, there were no outside vendors, no outside tables, just the food trucks and then stages and then that kind of stuff. But mostly just kids milling about, like on. I did see that. Yeah, Andrew saying on Sunday they did put a police officer at the main intersection to control vehicle pedestrian traffic. I mean, to me, it's a little bit too late at that point, a little too late. But I do it. At least they did it for that particular day anyway. But that intersection was a fucking nightmare, man. Oh my god! Even walking in that intersection was a nightmare.
I'm pretty sure I said this a couple times on our lives that we were doing, but going into Anime North, I figured that we were going to see all the crazy anime cosplays, right? Like all the big giant armors and the big giant swords and like, the Final Fantasy crazy shit. And, that's what I was expecting to see there, but there really wasn't much of that at all. Now, to be fair, I have been seeing a lot of people now posting pictures from Anime North, and there was some of that cool stuff there. We just really didn't get to see a lot of it, right? The only time we really got to go outside and hang out was on the Sunday.
On the Sunday, yeah.
And then I'm
being in the North Building Friday, Saturday, we just weren't exposed to.
Yeah, so we didn't get to actually see a lot of the cool cosplay.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit disappointing. That's what I was really hoping to get out of this, and I didn't. So, all in all, great con. Just not our crowd, and like I said, I thought this was going to be a massive, crazy cosplay show, and there were a lot of cosplayers. Don't get me wrong, there was a ton of cosplayers, but I don't know. I thought I was going to get wowed by all these crazy giant, armors and robots, and what you would expect from an anime thing, right? But it's not what it was. So
I think
is what it is.
I think it's a lot of that younger crowd, right? I saw a couple of awesome 10-foot Gundams outside. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so we saw them inside. They were parked inside the community area in the South building. They were cool. Jeff took a picture beside one of them.
Yep.
No, was it one of the Gundams you took pictures next to? Either way, we did see them. So those were pretty cool. There weren't anybody in them when we saw them. They were just set up there as a display.
Right.
But I did see a video on Instagram of the smaller of the two Gundams walking around outside.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was probably on the Saturday.
I would assume so.
But yeah, I mean, cool con, great venue. Wow, great venue. Good venue, horrible parking.
Yes.
Just again, not my thing. I don't know enough about anime to know what any of these cosplays are about. And let's be honest, I go to the con like 95% for the cosplay.
To nerd out. We talk about the environment all the time, right? I remember the first time I ever went to Fan Expo. I wasn't even in costume. And I was like, oh shit. Like these are all my people. Like this is my vibe. This is exactly the environment. It's nourishing to me. It's all like-minded individuals. Would you go back and saying, Alex, I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I would go back, but only in the capacity to work the con for Aaron again.
Yeah.
It's the only way I would go back. I wouldn't go back as a patron. I would not buy a ticket. I would not hang out on the front lawn all weekend. None of that has zero appeal to me. So would I go back? Yes, but only to work the game room for Aaron as staff. That's the only way I would go back.
Yeah, so, I think same. It's I don't know.
It just never had that vibe. It just for us.
Yeah,
for us. Clearly, Natasha, there's a bunch of you are probably saying like absolutely. And I'm glad that's your vibe. I'm glad you found your people. I'm glad that's something that you cherish and that works for you. Just doesn't work for us. It's just not our vibe, and that's okay. Different strokes, right?
Niagara Falls Comic Con is the next one we're going to be at.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Like we were saying earlier, it's technically 8 days away now. For me, 10, but because I'm only coming on the Saturday, but or 9, I should say now. Oof, 9 days away. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I know. And then I got Forest City Comic Con the weekend after that.
Yeah, no, you're mental. I don't know how you.
Well, it's in my town, and I'm part of it. Like I'm a judge and everything else. I'm not like.
Fair enough. What are you doing cosplay wise for?
I have to confirm because Nicole Bolin, who's been in the chat here a couple of times, has more than a passing resemblance to Bella Ramsey, and she asked me if we could do Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us. And I said yes, we could, just for that specific. But then I'm working that con, so we talked about it for doing it for Forest City, but I'm going to be judging the cosplay contest, and for the main judging aspect, they take us into a back room and we judge back there. So we're not even out interacting with people.
Right.
So I don't want her stuck out there for like half the con, not having me there as Joel, because it's not going to. Neither one of our cosplays is going to work without the other. So I'm going to message her if she's not in the chat there now, and just see if she still wants to do that. If I'm not doing Joel, I don't know.
It's a one-day thing, right?
It's just a one day. It's just Sunday. Yeah. I'll just throw something on if I'm not going to be doing that. I've worn through most of my stuff for those particular ones, but maybe I'll throw like an Omni-Man on, or it's just something that's easy to wear, something comfy, right? So
talking about Omni-Man, I know you're not doing Omni-Man, but don't forget the hairspray for Niagara Falls.
Why? Who's using that?
Who do you think?
Oh, is that you, Mr. Freeze? Oh,
Mr. Freeze.
I got you, buddy. I got you. I will make sure I bring.
You're doing the Joker, right? For the bomb run.
On the bomb.
You want to talk about quickly your lineup for NFCC?
Yeah, I posted it. So Friday I'm going to be the comedian, which I keep saying for the last time, and then I keep doing it again. But my good friend Alicia does a fantastic Sally Jupiter. She asked if I would team up with her Watchmen style for Friday. So I'm doing that on Friday. And then Saturday, of course, doing Joker, the Ledger version, pretty much identical to what I did for Toronto Comic Con on the Saturday. And then Sunday, my good friend Robbie, who's been here on the podcast before, Grace and Great Cosplay, asked me, very cheekily, I might add, if I would consent to playing 80-year-old Bruce Wayne to his Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond. So he just sent me some preview pics of his Batman Beyond suit. It looks fucking great. So I will be old ass Bruce Wayne.
Does he have his cowl?
Sunday. I don't believe he's doing a cowl. I believe he's going
okay, because I saw the suit, but I didn't see the cowl, and that's why I was wondering. So I guess he's not doing the cowl. Okay, well that works.
So I'm going to be in like a gray turtleneck and a cardigan and black pants and a cane. So yeah, that's going to be the comfiest cosplay I have. Again, I'm going to make sure I'm wrecked the whole time. Although I do have to work on Monday, unfortunately, so that's going to make it problematic. But anyways, regardless. Should be a good time. Hope to see you guys there. Obviously, Niagara Falls would be great. If you guys are in the London area, please come up to Forest City Comic Con. Support that. I'm sure tickets are still available. And yeah, I'll be there as a cosplay judge. It's where I first met our friend collaborated cosplay there. So,
is it really now? Forest City, eh? Okay.
Yep, he came as Groot for the cosplay contest, the first ever one he ever entered.
Interesting.
And as soon as he walked in the room with it, we were like, well, whatever category he's in, he wins.
He just wins. He just won that. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Good. I think he was an artisan or something like that. I think he was in the middle category. We were like, you probably should have put yourself in advance, but that's fine.
Oh, it was his first cosplay. Yeah,
no, I know,
before,
but
right?
I mean, he was clearly well beyond everybody else in the category he was in.
Yes.
Yeah. Nope. Should be a good time. But otherwise, I think this guy up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it, folks. Once again, if you are watching us or listening to us and you are not following us on YouTube, please make sure you come to YouTube, click that damn like and subscribe button. You know how much we like it. Make sure you click the what's it called? The notification bell. Yeah, it'll let you know anytime we go live or upload a new video. Actually, I want to get back to doing more content for the channel. Our growth has kind of stagnated since we've stopped, just doing videos. So we're going to start doing more of that, I think, shortly. So keep an eye out for that. That being said, I think that's it for now. We'll see you guys at Niagara Falls. Stay geeky, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Geek Boutique podcast. Like always, if you prefer to listen to us, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Now, make sure you don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to make sure you never miss anything.